Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into the most boring reports so you don't have to. Today we're diving into something from Abacus FCF ETF Trust. Don't worry, it's not about ancient counting tools, but it is full of fun names that sound like robot armies, so buckle up. It's a semi-annual report, so we'll see how things are going and if they are living up to the hype. These reports give a peek under the hood of several Abacus funds. We're looking at what they invested in, how they performed, and most importantly, how much it all cost. Buckle up because there are some interesting changes to talk about. Let's see if those changes are actually good or not. First, let's talk money, what everyone cares about. We need to know what the Abacus FCF Leaders ETF cost someone who invested $10,000. Turns out it cost them $31. What percentage is that? Well, it's 0.59%. Remember that number because it tells you how much they are charging for managing your money. It is the expense ratio. Now let's look at the key numbers for the Abacus FCF Leaders ETF as of January of 2025. The fund has net assets, which is how much money they have, of about $670 million. How many different investments do they hold? 113 do they hold? 130 20-volt 13.2. The portfolio turnover is 34%. That means that they are actively trading and changing a significant portion of their investments over time. A passive fund would have a lower number. So what do they hold? Turns out that the biggest holding in the Abacus FCF Leaders ETF is actually something called Mount Vernon Liquid Assets Portfolio. It accounts for 6.6% of all of their holdings. After that, we get into big household names like Apple at 6% and then Apple of Incorp at 3.1%. Let's break down the biggest sectors they are invested in. This tells us where they are focused. As of January of 2025, 31.8% of the fund was in technology, communications at 14%, consumer discretionary, stuff people want but don't need at 13.3%, consumer discretionary, stuff people want but don't need at 13.3%, financials, big companies that handle money at 12.5%, and then healthcare at 11.8%. Now, here's where things get interesting. There were some major changes that happened to these funds in late 2025. For example, the FCF US Quality ETF became the Abacus FCF Leaders ETF in December. Also, its ticker symbol, which is like its short name on the stock exchange, changed too. So T-Tech is now ABFL. Here is another major change. Abacus Life Inc. bought FCF Advisors LLC in December. FCF Advisors officially became Abacus FCF Advisors LLC. It's like a sports team getting a new owner and a slightly different name. Also, don't get too comfy with the names. They then changed the trust name to Abacus FCF ETF Trust. Finally, a change that investors might actually like. On February 1, 2025, after this reporting period, the advisory fee for the fund went down to 0.49%. This is the amount that the fund charges to manage your money, and it's gone down. Okay, so what's happening with the Abacus FCF International Leaders ETF? Let's start with the expenses. An investment of $10,000 would have cost you $30. That's the same 0.59% expense ratio as the prior fund we talked about. Now for the key numbers, this fund has about $126 million in net assets. That's significantly smaller than the last fund we looked at. How many different investments do they hold? 138% lower than the prior fund, so they are less active in trading their positions. For their top holdings, it's the same Mount Vernon Liquid Assets portfolio, but next is Roche Holding AG and Dollarama Inc. This fund is all about international stocks, so let's see where they are putting their money geographically. The United Kingdom makes up 15.5%, Switzerland 11.9%, and Canada at 10.6%. It's quite diversified, which is good for international investing. You might be seeing a pattern by now. Just like the prior fund, this one changed its name in December. FCF International Quality ETF became the Abacus FCF International Leaders ETF. Its ticker symbol also got a makeover, and TTI is now ABLG. Like before, Abacus Life also bought FCF Advisors LLC, and the trust changed its name too. Fee change? Yes. On February 1, 25, the advisory fee dropped to 0.54%. The prior fund went down to 0.49%, so this international funds change wasn't as dramatic. Alright, now let's shine our spotlight on the Abacus Tactical High Yield ETF. Let's find out about the fund costs. An investment of $10,000 cost you $35. That's an expense ratio of 0.69%, a little higher than the others. Key numbers for the high yield fund: only about $2.8 million in net assets and just 10 holdings. This is a very small fund. The portfolio turnover is super high at 42%. This fund is actively trading. Digging into the holdings, this fund's top investment is again the Mount Vernon liquid assets portfolio at 33.9%. More changes happened here too. Abacus Life acquired FCF Advisors LLC. FCF Advisors LLC also took over the portfolio management responsibilities from Donahue Forlines LLC in December. The name also changed. Donahue Forlines Tactical High Yield ETF became the Abacus Tactical High Yield ETF, changing its ticker from DFRI to ABI. But wait, there's a silver lining. As of February 1, 2025, the advisory fee was cut to 0.59%, and the advisor agreed to waive another 0.26. This is an effort to get it back on track. Now on to the Abacus FCF Innovation Leaders ETF. How much did the fund cost? An investment of $10,000, $38, an expense ratio of 0.69%. This fund and the high yield fund are the most expensive of the bunch. Here are the Innovation Leaders Fund's key numbers, just $7.5 million in assets and 101 holdings. Turnover is 37%, so relatively low activity. Here are the biggest investments. This time, Apple leads the pack at 9.2%, followed by Broadcom Inc. There are no surprises here, but it's basically the same changes. Abacus Life acquired FCF Advisors LLC. FCF Advisors LLC took over from Donahue Forlines LLC in December. The fund name also changed from Donahue Forlines Innovation ETF to the Abacus FCF Innovation Leaders ETF. The ticker changed as well, going from DFNV to ABOT. The advisory fee decreased to 0.59% with a waiver. This makes for a total of 0.39% effectively, so that's good news. Last, we have the Abacus FCF Real Assets Leaders ETF. How much did the fund cost? An investment of $10,000, $35, an expense ratio of 0.569%. Key numbers, there is $7.20 million in assets and 75 holdings. Portfolio turnover is 35%. Here are the top holdings. Top investment is, again, the Mount Vernon liquid assets portfolio, followed by Petroleo Brasileiro S.A. and ExxonMobil Corp. I sound like a broken record, but Abacus Life acquired FCF Advisors LLC, and FCF Advisors LLC took over from Donahue Forlines LLC in December. The fund name also changed from Donahue Forlines Yield Enhanced Real Asset ETF to Abacus FCF Real Assets Leaders ETF. The ticker changed from DFR to ABLD. The advisory fee decreased to 0.59% with a waiver, which makes for a total of 0.39% effectively. Alright, so what's the overall story here? It seems like Abacus Life has been busy acquiring and rebranding these funds. But let's give an opinion on these funds based on the numbers we see. The Abacus FCF Leaders ETF appears to be the strongest of the bunch, with the most assets and pretty good diversification. But the Tactical High Yield, Innovation Leaders and Real Assets Leaders ETFs, they're pretty small, which could make them more volatile. Also, the changes and name switching might create investor confusion. As a result, make sure you read up before you invest. So there you have it, a deep dive into Abacus FCF ETF Trust Semi-Annual Report. Are you feeling enlightened or just more confused about the alphabet soup of fund names and ticker symbols? Let me know in the comments if you found this helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more corporate decodes.